Dewalt DC 600 3.6 volt cordless screwdriver. Haven't got a charger. It has got a battery, but as you can see, the battery is fairly dead. I have charged this battery up. Once charged up, this will drill or screw in about 4 or 5 small screws, and then you're back to this state. So this battery is no good. I think it's a NiCd. It could be nickel metal hydride, I suppose. Oh no, there it is, CD, so it's a NiCd. It looks as if it might be possible to put something like that inside there, because if you look at the size of that compared to the size of that, it looks like you've got room to put that inside there and still have room for the terminals at the top. It's going to be tight because the terminals are quite a long way down, but it looks like that might work. Depending on the shape of the inside, it might be possible to tilt it, in which case obviously then we will have more space. But so that would be 3.6 to, well, that says 3.7 lithium ion, but it's, might as well call it 3.6, it doesn't make any difference. Now of course it would be nice to know that this will work better with one of those, so what I'm going to do is connect up my little power bank. Connection's made. Had to use a pair of forceps, so fiddly, but let's see what we've got now. That's not too bad. Go the other way, not too bad, and that seems to be on the number 1 speed. Let's put that on number 2, a bit faster, go the other way. So that all seems to be working okay. Right, it looks like there is a seam here running all the way around there, all the way around here. It cuts inland slightly there. Perhaps it goes under there, yeah, it goes under there. Then it comes back out all the way around here and around here. It's hard to tell, but I scratched away at this for about an hour yesterday, both sides all the way around, but this is still solid as a rock. Right, I'm going to try a little bit of heat from my hot air station just to try and get some heat into this, hopefully not in an obvious too hot manner. But so far there's absolutely no sign of movement along anywhere where it looks like it might join, and I don't really want to do too much damage to it getting it apart, because that will ruin it. Right, to give you an idea of how tight this still is, look, I'm just hitting it on the edge of the bench. And not even the slightest bit of movement in it. Well, it seems the only option I've got left is resort to violence, which is what I didn't want to do, but I cannot shift this. You can probably see it's doing a fair bit of damage around the edge here where I'm trying to prise it apart. and the same here. Well, the situation just gets worse, not better. It's split there. It's starting to split there. Well, I still can't believe this. I've got all this all bent apart. You can see it's wrecked all of the edge. I've got all of this all bent apart all around here. And again, the edge is completely wrecked. And this will still not move. Not even the tiniest fraction will it move, no matter how much I pull on it or bash it about. As you can see, I've resorted to cutting this lip off completely. I can't see any other way of doing it because I just cannot see where there is supposed to be a dividing line. Well, amazingly, even with that all cut away, there and there, I can't see how this joins to this. There's no dividing line that I can see. Right, well, that's 10 minutes with a file, and there's no dividing line that I can see there at all for where these come apart. And on this side again, no dividing line at all. Right, I've cut this even further back. I've tried cleaning it with a file. I've cut this side even further back, tried cleaning it with a file. I still cannot see a join. I've tried holding this in a vise and hitting this, and it won't move. So I still don't know how these two pieces are supposed to come apart. Right, after beating on it with a hammer for 5 minutes, because I'm just getting truly frustrated, you can see it cracked there, and it's starting to split the case there, which I don't want. So, but there's a join there obviously that I can't see, and on this side it cracked all the way through. So there was a join there, but it clearly was never going to come apart at that join line, because that seems to be the join line, and then it's just split and gone across there. So that was never going to work across there. Right, I think we're nearly there. I've managed to get a chisel in that little bit there. It's still stuck here, but if you look, it's beginning to part company, but it still doesn't want to come apart there. It's come apart there, so I think we can probably just force this little last pit. Oh, ouch, and stab our fingers at the same time. So there's the top piece, but you can see it's so well moulded on. Look, that's all the plastic there from the bottom piece. I clearly did not want this to ever come apart. And there's the rest of it. Finally, 1.2, 1.2, 1.2, 3.6. Note to self. Label, writing, turn it over. You can see 3.6 there, so this bit has to be there, and plus is there. Right, is this going to fit? I think the answer is probably yes, because it has to fit in the space occupied by these two. And as you can see, easily going to fit in the space occupied by those two, with that much space left over. Right, let's pull these sticky bits off the end. Insulators, looks like we've got a similar sort of thing at this end. That's half an insulator. Looks like it's a sort of rubber spacer. And then we've got that, which would probably come off with a bit of fatigue. Never know, that might come in handy. These batteries obviously we don't want anymore. That one's not going to be worth keeping, whether it comes off or not, so that's gone. And then we've got the same thing here. Let's just get that to snap off. Right, so that's 3 batteries for recycling. And then we've got that bit. And that is going to end up on top of there. And which one is which? Oh, it looks like they took plus down there on a black wire. That doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? But so did they take plus to the bottom on a black wire? I would rather they'd taken minus to the bottom. Because then I could have gone plus straight to here, but it looks like plus straight to here, that's the negative, so that's no good, is it? Right, it's a pity for convenience of batteryness, but plus will have to be at the bottom. Why they made it a black wire, I don't know. So that will be the plus wire, and that will have to go down to the bottom where the battery sits at the bottom. Yes. Almost a perfect fit in there, so we should be able to just bend this up, trim it short, solder it to there, and we should be good to go. Right, I'm just going to double this back on itself so it goes down, back up, like that, just in case in the future I need to make a change, because that will give me a little bit of spare. And then that is going to go onto there, and I just need to solder those two together. You want a little bit of solder on here and on here. Then when I push them together they should be quite happy. So I just need to get them to push tightly together, and then I can squeeze them down and that'll be a job done. Probably still burn my fingers, but we'll see. Oh! I think that's gone on nicely. That'll do. Perhaps we'll just put a little bit of tape round, because that'll help insulate that. I don't know if it'll ever need any insulation on it, but if we go round there, we're not going to be soldering up near this end anyway. Of course, later on I'll discover that this tape gets in the way of something. You can bet your life on that, but never mind. Right, that holds that nice and flat, so that should sit in there. Oh, the plastic's broken off, and it does, so that's not disturbing anything, so that fits in there okay. We know that's going to fit in there for depth, so this needs to now connect to there, so I need that to come out over that side. Right, that's that off there. Now, let's see. We might even be able to get that piece. Oh yes, I think that's probably going to reach down to there. I think that's probably thick enough for the power that we're going to draw, considering how thin it is there. So if we were to come over onto there, and then down, get to that positive wire easily. Move that round a little bit like that. That to there. I think that'll do it. So we just need to hold all this still while we can get some solder onto there, and hopefully that's not going to involve heating the battery very much, because everybody tells me that we mustn't solder batteries. Hopefully that's got plenty of solder underneath it. Right, let's get this on it to hold it down. A bit around the side, I think there's plenty there though. And we've got these old sticky pads, so we can put one of those over the top, because they're lovely and thick insulators, better than the ones that I've bought in recent years. Right, so we just need this connected to there. I don't think I need to worry too much. So as long as that ends up connected onto there. And again, I think to make life simpler, I'm going to bend that back on itself. because when you do that you get a bit of spring in the system. Let's find something to go underneath while we do that. Oh, we'll just poke that under there. That there. Alright, let's get a bit of solder on there. That's plenty. Some solder on there. That looks like plenty. I'm not going to cry like a baby, but that's burning my finger. Ow! Ow! Maybe I am going to cry like a baby. Ow. Right, now as this is plus running up the side here, we could do with something that's insulating underneath this bit, because potentially it could touch the case anywhere around here and down there. It's got a bit of insulator there, but nothing under this bit. But it looks like I can probably get that under there. And there was one of these. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. So we can probably put that. Yeah, I'm sure we can find a way of bending that to go under there. That's a bit. So that's handy. Look, we're reusing all these bits from the original. Because I think if we get that up underneath there, push that down on there, and I can even wrap some tape around that. And then we just need one of these to sit on the bottom. If we stick that on the bottom, if we put it in the middle as best we can, it should be okay, because the bigger batteries fitted before, so they should fit now with that there. And that's there. So like I say, a little bit of tape around there, tidy that up, and then I think we'll be in business. Oops. Right. Well, that's gone a bit crooked, but it doesn't really matter, does it? Right, this was a rubber spacer that was actually between two batteries before, so it sat in the middle, but I've put it underneath there, and then of course that gives us the slight lift, and then this should sit on there, and then of course press down, and that should keep the two terminals in a decent spot. The problem we've got is that it's just a mess now. You can see it. There's a gap there, and here's not too bad because we didn't damage that, but round here there's odd little gaps, and of course all of this is missing and all of that is missing, so it's not good, but it's the best we can manage. Right, if we bring the meter in, put that on there, our battery 4.08, so if we call that 4.1 volts, so that's fully charged, or pretty much fully charged. So this is more or less ready to go. We just need a way of charging it up. Now the problem with charging it up is, if I use, get it from over here, if I use the USB-C, I can probably put it in there. But the problem is I don't really like these USB-C connectors for charging up things, because they don't stand up to being knocked about or abused in any way. But you can see I've got plenty of room to fit that in there. The only problem being that it would face the wrong way, but if we drilled a hole in somewhere in this top lid bit, we could probably look through and see the lights on inside. Whereas if we turned it round this way like that, and put it in that way round, we could drill a hole in the side and we would see the light shining out through the side. So it is difficult to know, but obviously it would be much easier to fix it in that way round, because you can pretty much glue it against here. Where do I charge from? Whereas I could charge straight in through the side and put the plug in the side here, and then of course I've got no worries at all about where the wires are going. This is a 7.2 volt that I converted before, and obviously it's got two batteries inside. I think it's got them in here if I remember rightly, but what I did there was I put the charge socket here. That's 8mm. Try not to press too hard because I don't want to slip and drill through my hand. It's a bit of a fiddle getting in there, but it's tightened up in there. There's our wires. Those need to go onto our circuit board. Change my mind, I'm going to do it from the other side. So that's the minus wire poking through from the other side, and we'll solder it on this side. That's the battery plus charge wire. That's battery minus. Right, just put a bit of solder on the wire. Put the solder on there where it's going, and then we should be able to solder on battery minus. I'll put another little bit of tape over that in a minute. And then we need to find battery plus and do the same with battery plus. Get a little bit of solder onto that wire. A little bit of solder on there. And then that's our battery plus wire. Right, have to move you over a bit so that this will reach. So that plugged into there, switch on, according to that, it's charging. Right, it's not easy to decide where the best spot for the little window is to see into here, but I think it's going to be somewhere off to one side over here because of where the circuit board is going to sit. So I'm going to take a gamble and drill here. Right, hole drilled. Not easy to see, but I've just stuck a bit of sellotape over the inside because later we'll try and put some 2-pack adhesive in the hole, and of course the sellotape will help stop it running on the inside. But yeah, I think if we get a little bit of hot melt glue down the side here, that will stop anything from moving while we assemble the rest. Circuit boards in, tiny little bit of hot melt glue on each side, battery back in, it's just perched roughly in its place. And that needs to go there, and that, now it's sitting more or less where it needs to sit, but obviously it's always going to look a bit of a mess. I'm not quite sure what to do about this. I think I might put a little bit of super glue on here just to hold the whole thing together, and then worry about finding something better to fix it and hold it in place later. So have a tiny little bit of super glue there where it meets, and then turn it over. I'll keep pressing against it because you can see there again it doesn't meet very well. Right, I've managed to find a little clamp, so I'm going to leave it clamped like that for the glue to go off. I think when I use some 2-pack glue in there for that little window, I'll put some in here. It's just a pity that whatever I've got is clear, because if I had something that was a darker colour, that might look a little bit tidier. Alright, let's just mix up a little bit of 2-pack glue. Alright, let's try and get a blob of that into our little window. Right, now let's see if we can get some of this in where the plastic is cracked. It does mean that taking this apart again in the future might not be very easy. I'll just have to pray that I don't need to take it apart in the future. Okay, all glued together. There's our charge point, there's our little window for the light. It's a little bit messy round here from the glue, and I don't like this, so at some point I might try to find something, I don't know, maybe either some car body filler or something, just to make that a little bit nicer. And it's the same around here, it looks a little bit of a mess. Possibly even a little bit more glue would take the nasty look off of it. I don't know, it may not look too bad on camera, but it looks pretty rough in real life. Let's try them on the screwdriver. Right, what have we got? So what are we on? So that's number 2. Going clockwise. Or is it anti-clockwise? No, that's clockwise. Anti-clockwise. And then we've got number 1. A little bit slower. What about our lights? Oh, and we've got a couple of LED lights working as well. Right, usual bit of wood, usual size screws. Screwdriver bit installed. Number 1, lowest setting for torque. My bit of wood is getting to the point where I'll need to replace it because it's starting to split under the impact. But Oh, that's even on number 1, that's driven well in. Let's try there. Oh, and as you can see it's starting to split the wood. And that's on number 1. So we've obviously got plenty of power. I mean, if I was to put that on a higher setting, let's try number 4. See what happens. Oh, wrong way. Well in, look at that. Oh, I don't think complain about that. That's working well. And it's tried to screw itself to my bench. So there you go. All good.